Hi everybody. Today we're going to do a quick video on arrays, and I've created this replit here called McLean Array Demo Video, and I'm going to drop in a div id equals results, and it's going to be empty for now. This is where I'm going to put the various things that we find that contain things. So I'll drop this h1. We'll just have it say results. Okay, and then when we run something, we'll want to nav. I'm going to go ahead and drop in a span. I haven't styled up a button or anything yet, so this will just show up as normal for now. Run it. And then on this, I'm going to show you a couple things. First off, a way to set up with event listeners. So I'm going to add a click event to my button here. So I need an ID, cmd run, and if I come back to my JavaScript, I can say window.onload equals function is document.getElement by ID, cmd run add event listener. Notice I can just chain all these together. On the click, I want to run array start. I need to remember my semicolon there, and I'm going to create that function. Okay, so first off, I'm going to start by creating a global variable, which means that it's declared outside of a function. And I'll do that at I really like window onload to be at the very start. So today we are going to do something about movies. And we're just going to set it to an empty array to start. And so there are a few things we want to be able to do with arrays or with any data storage system. We want to be able to add, remove, change, and retrieve. Okay, so I'm going to start by saying movies.push. This is how we add something in the middle of code. Movies.push. I'm going to add the Princess Bride to start. And that reminds me that I'm going to throw in that piece we talked about the other day, use strict, so that I can't make that movies error again. And then I'm going to also say movies.push Star Wars A New Hope. And then at the end of the run, I'm going to say document.getElement by ID. See if I can remember what I called it, results. And I'm going to put, for now I'm just going to put movies into it. And it's not going to look good. I'm not even sure it's going to work, but we're going to try it. And so I run this, and I click run it, and I get an error because of on line 12. Oh, I need to do the .inner HTML if I want to do that. I'll wake up in the morning here. The Princess Bride, Star Wars A New Hope. So this is not the right way to output an array. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So I've added those things in. If I click it again, I now have 4. So that's worth noting that an array can have multiple copies of the same thing. So the next thing I want to be able to do in my list is remove. So with an array, we use the splice function to remove something. So we can do movies.splice, and then it takes 2 arguments, the place to start splicing and the number of elements to remove. So if I want to remove that second Princess Bride, that's at 0, 1, and 2. So I'm going to do 2, 1. That's going to be a little bit of a problem though, because I haven't originally created this. So I'm going to do 1, 1. I'm going to pull out Star Wars A New Hope because I'm doing this in the same set. I should have multiple buttons. So if I run it and then I print it out, I only get the Princess Bride. I could do this and say console.log movies, and I run it and I run it, and you see that right here when I console log it to the Princess Bride and Star Wars A New Hope, I can movies.splice 1, 1. Okay, so the next thing I want to be able to do is change something. So far we've got splice to remove, push to add on to the end, and I'm going to go ahead and hide that splice or comment it out because I don't necessarily want that right now. I want to change something. Movies 1, which is going to be Star Wars A New Hope because it's the second one I add. Remember that we're starting with a 0-based index. Movies 1 equals Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. So what we should see is the Princess Bride, Star Wars A New Hope, and then we should see in here the Princess Bride, Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. So I run it, and here it is the Princess Bride, Star Wars A New Hope, and here it is the Princess Bride, Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. So now we know how to change it. We change it just with the index, which is the exact same way. Change it with the index, which is the exact same way that we actually retrieve it. So if I want to alert the first one, I'm going to say the first entry is plus movies at index 0. So that should console.log. So over here we should see what we see right now, the Princess Bride, Star Wars A New Hope. We should get an alert that says the first entry is the Princess Bride, and then in here it should say, after changing Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, we should see the Princess Bride and Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. And we'll go ahead and run that and see if we get those things. The first entry is the Princess Bride. That's that, retrieving it by its index. Over here, where we console log it, we get the Princess Bride and Star Wars A New Hope. Here we've changed it and put it into our results, so we get the Princess Bride and Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, what can we do with that? Let's talk first about the proper way to output it. The proper way to output it is to do this. And really, anytime you need to cycle through, you're going to do something like this. And since we have not done for loops yet, we will use a while loop. Var LP is one thing that I like to use for loops. Equals 0. While LP is less than movies. Keep on leaving out that I. Movies.length. Document.getElement. I should be a little cleaner with this and say var container equals, so I'm going to put this into a variable so I don't have to retrieve it a bunch of times. Going to the document object model again and again takes some space, whereas if I put it in memory, it takes time, I guess. If I put it in memory, if I'm going to access it multiple times, then this is the better way to do it. Container dot inner HTML. We're going to try it with the plus equals. Movies at the index of LP plus equals movies LP plus, I'm going to go ahead and put a break there. I could drop this into a list and all of that, but right now we're going to do that, and we'll see if it works. First entry is the Princess Bride, and then we're running into an error because it does not like this. Equals container.innerHTML plus movies LP plus break plus quote, let's put an HR there, run, and we'll see if that's better, or if I've made another, oh, I'm in a infinite loop because again I forgot to add one to LP. And we'll see if it'll let me. No, I probably need to reload this page. There we go. That infinite loop. I thought there was a setting to protect against infinite loops. It's protected, but it didn't work. And now we're going to do this. And so now that we've added our LP++ so that this will loop correctly, we're going to run it, and we get invalid or unexpected token, line 18 equals movies. We just need to make that movies because it's an array thing. And then we can say container.innerHTML plus equals HR for a horizontal rule. And we run it, and we get the first entry is the Princess Bride. We get all of that. And then you'll see that instead of having a comma-separated list, what we have is the Princess Bride, and then we loop through again, and we get Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So that's a more proper way to output it. It gives us a lot more control. We can create a separate element for each one of those, and it's going to work a lot better. So, quick recap. We did how to add with the push command. Anytime we want to add something, we can drop it in with the push command. So we can pull that out of input from our user. We can remove it with the splice command. And we did that down here where we ended up getting rid of it. And you can splice, pull multiple things out. You can pull at any spot within the list. You want to avoid getting outside the range of your actual array, or you're going to get an error. We can change based on the index, so we just reassign the index spot, and we can retrieve something also based on that index. And the advantage to that is that instead of just doing a particular one, we can loop through the whole thing and get each one separately. So that is arrays. Thanks, everybody.